Now, Saudi Arabia's ambassador to Yemen says the kingdom has made major efforts to support peace, stability and the Yemeni economy, but warns those efforts are being undermined by growing tensions in the south. Mohammed al-Jaber accused the leader of the Southern Transitional Council of taking unilateral steps that escalated the crisis, including blocking a Saudi delegation from landing in Aden. Flights at Aden's international airport were later halted, a move that al-Jaber describes as irresponsible and harmful to Yemeni civilians. The ambassador says Saudi Arabia remains committed to dialogue and hopes southern leaders will return to a political solution. For more on this story, I'm joined by Yemeni Deputy Foreign Minister Mustafa Noman. Mustafa, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. I just actually want to begin with some news that we've been getting through today, and that is, according to reports, they say 7 people have been killed in Saudi coalition airstrikes on separatists in eastern Yemen, and that is today. What more can you tell us about that operation and what's been happening in eastern Yemen?
At the outset, I have to admit and say that the government had no intention, nor the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to recourse to force to take all the forces that the STC has sent to the eastern provinces of Hadramout and al-Mahra and Shabwa. Unfortunately, as any wars, when any wars start, there would be casualties. What I heard the last news I got, that the first camp of that's called al-Khasha'a has surrendered to the government forces with the support of what's called the Nation's Shield. So there is now a push of the STC forces from these areas and to oblige them and force them to get out of the location they have occupied during the last few weeks.
What do you make of the recent decisions taken by the president of the Southern Transitional Council with regards to closing the air traffic at Aden Airport?
Unfortunately, the chairman of the STC, General Aidarus al-Zubaidi, has taken so many measures and decisions that were, he supposed that they are strengthening his position and the position of the STC, while in reality it was the contrary. He was losing more support even within the southern population, and he was losing more the support he had in the regional countries like Saudi Arabia and the Sultanate of Oman or elsewhere. He was controlling Aden, he was controlling Abiyan, he was controlling Lahj, and he was the one who leads all the decisions there, and he was the one who can oppose or let go the decisions of even the president. I'm not sure what pushed him to go to Hadramout and to al-Mahra and to get close to a very sensitive area, which is the borders with Saudi Arabia and the Sultanate of Oman. Now we are talking about 700 kilometers of borders between Hadramout and al-Mahra, who are part of the Republic of Yemen, with Saudi Arabia. I think it was a miscalculation from his side, and I think that he's going to pay personally. The STC and the Southern cause, unfortunately, will go back to where it started a few years ago. All Yemenis have agreed that the Southern issue is an issue of total importance, of top importance to all Yemenis, and that it has to be resolved according to the wish and the will of the Southern population. But it could not happen with these steps that he has taken. And he has to admit that he is not the only representative of the South. There are many Southern blocs that are not under his umbrella. Now he's trying to impose himself as the sole leader, the sole representative of all the Southern territory, which is not true. And now we will see what happens in the next few weeks. I'm sure that he's going to either recalculate his measures or to just be absent out of the country.
What does the STC want? What is their main reason for what you say is in some way a miscalculation in Yemen? What exactly are they looking for?
Their claims are that they don't have enough political representation within the present authorities in the PLC and the government. And I can just say that within the PLC, which is composed of 8 members, they have 3. In the cabinet, they have the majority. They have 2/3 of the majority of the ministers. They have vice ministers. They have deputies. And so they cannot claim that that the South is misrepresented. Now, what they are trying to do is to be the sole representative of the South, which is not true. I mean, nobody can claim that he represents the South, and nobody can claim that the SCC is representing the South. Yes, they have louder voice. Yes, they have militias. Yes, they have enough influence in the cabinet and in the PLC, but that does not give them the right to claim that they are the sole representative of the South and the Southern population. And this is where I think Aidarus al-Zubaidi has miscalculated. And the biggest mistake he has made is that he antagonized Saudi Arabia to get close to the Saudi borders. This is of a top sensitivity to the Saudis and even to Yemen. You cannot bring militias that are not under the umbrella of the Ministry of Defense, that are not under the orders of the Commander-in-Chief of the Army. No country on earth will accept militias to control borders from their side. This is unbelievable and unacceptable, not by Saudi Arabia, not even by Oman, and definitely not by the internationally recognized government. They have made a great mistake, and they will pay dearly for that.
Is the STC a proxy, or is it an organic movement in southern Yemen?
Definitely, it's not an organic movement. That's something that everybody knows. And we have to tell the viewers, now, Aidarus al-Zubaidi was first supported, trained, and financed by Iran. He was in Beirut under the umbrella of Hezbollah. Then he changed allegiance, and he became a proxy of the United Arab Emirates, unfortunately. Everybody knows that the United Arab Emirates are the financier of the SCC. They train them, they finance them, they arm them, and we have seen what the TV channels have showed us, the 2 vessels that anchored in Shabwa, in Al-Mukalla, trying to get more arms to the SCC at this moment. So that shows who's standing behind the SCC and what role the SCC is playing for this country.
And what risks does the STC and a divided Yemen pose to the Arabian Peninsula and to the country itself?
I mean, there are militias. We have to admit them. They don't belong to the army of the Republic of Yemen. They don't take orders from the Minister of Defense of the Republic of Yemen. Even their military attire has nothing to do with the military attire of the National Army. So, they are trying to control the South. They are trying to be the sole representative of the South. They are trying to exploit whatever businesses or treasures or wealth that is in the South. They have been doing this during the past few years, and they want to be there as a sole representative, as I repeat every now and then, of the South, which will never happen. They have to know this, and they have to admit that they made a great mistake because they lost one of their biggest allies, which is Saudi Arabia. The government of Saudi Arabia always supported the Southern issue. They always took the side with the Southern issue and with the Southern population. Now all this is gone because of Aidarus al-Zubaidi's miscalculations. And I'm sure that part of this matter is that it was a personal ambition of him to be ruling the South. What will happen next, and I'm sure that will happen very soon, that he will discover that he's left alone in the south, and he will have no place to stay, and he will have to leave the country.
You've also just said to me a little bit early on, the STC will have to pay dearly for this miscalculation. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Now it's an outlawed entity. They have not taken solitary measures. No, they have led a rebellion against the internationally recognized government. This entity has to be dismantled, or at least that their status has to be changed. They cannot have any militias under their umbrella. They have to be a political entity, and this is something that I've been calling for years, that they have to turn and to convert into a political party or a political entity, and then we will know the real weight of the STC. We cannot weigh a political entity who has tanks and arms and armored vehicles. This is not a proper political entity. This is what Hezbollah is doing in Beirut, and this is what STC is doing in Yemen, and this is what al-Houthis are doing in Sana'a. There is no difference between these three entities. They are outlaws. So this is where the measure that STC have taken, and this is where I say that he will pay dearly for that. He will have to surrender his arms, as we are calling al-Houthis to surrender their arms, as the Lebanese government is asking Hezbollah to surrender their arms. So that this is the only option to bring peace to the south again.
And as we see this tension in southern Yemen, what does it mean for the north of the country, which is where the Arab coalition is currently fighting the Houthis, who you just mentioned?
No, this is one of the mistakes, again, that the STC has made. I mean, he has diverted the attention of Saudi Arabia, of the internationally recognized government, of the National Army, from going after the Houthis. Now we have to settle another formula, which is the STC. We have to know how to deal with them during the next few months. And this will delay the march towards Sana'a, or the march even towards a peace process, because now we are busy with solving this dilemma that the STC has created. The Houthis are the only winners in this, at least during these few weeks.
And does that raise major concerns for the security of Yemen, that almost you've been distracted from what's happening with the STC and not focusing so much on the Houthis? What does that mean for the country of Yemen and its people?
We already know the miseries and the poverty under which the Yemeni people are living. Now this is adding insult to injury. Now what the STC is doing is he's diverting the efforts and the attention of the government, of the PLC, of the population, of the business community, from looking after how to improve the situation of the population. No, nobody is even looking at this matter now. Everybody is looking about how can we push the STC out of the eastern provinces, Mahra, Shabwa, and Hadramout. He is delaying all these projects, all these plans of the government, and he's just like making us busy looking about plans and ways to get him out of the eastern provinces. This will have dire consequences on the increase of poverty in Yemen, of famine, of lack of medical services, of the infrastructure, of the electricity. So now nobody is looking at all these matters because of what the STC has been doing during the past 2 months.
And a little bit earlier, I did ask you if the STC was a proxy or an organic movement, and you did mention the UAE to me. And we do know the UAE is now pulling out its remaining troops. But are you confident that it will stop funding the STC?
I cannot say that I'm confident that the government of the United Arab Emirates would do, but I'm sure that the wisdom of the government of Abu Dhabi and the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, I'm sure that at one point they will realize that what they have been doing, or what the STC has been doing under the name of the United Arab Emirates, was wrong. And there are more and much more interests between Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates than this problem of the STC. They have much more common interests. They have common joint borders. They have more security issues that have to be solved in the region. So I'm sure that at one point Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed will realize this, and I hope that this happens very soon.
And what could a united Yemen look like? And is there actually diplomatic means to make this happen?
I mean, the Yemenis have decided that the current Yemen as a one unitary country in one capital is not working, is not functional. And we are talking about a federal system. We can have it in two regions. It could be in 3, it could be in 4. But this is something that cannot be enforced, and we cannot be obliged just to follow what the STC is willing or what the STC is dictating. We have to sit on a table, but he has to surrender their arms first. I mean, I cannot sit on a table like everybody says this to the Houthis or to Hezbollah. I cannot sit on a table to discuss politics with somebody who has his arms on the table or behind the doors. How can that happen? So we have to have a peace process, but this has to happen when it has to start when the STC decides that he has to quit the eastern region. He has to stop using his militias as a leverage on the government and on the population. He has to decide this very fast so that we can save lives and we can save efforts, money, and time.
So are you saying that if the STC do disarm and give up their weapons, you will hold serious conversations with them about Yemen becoming 2 separate countries with an independent southern part of Yemen? Is that correct?
No, I did not 2 separate countries. I'm talking about the federal system. No, I mean, if we are talking about secession, that has to be agreed on a table again. I mean, I keep repeating this. It's not a family feud that you can resolve by just talking to each other. There are mutual interests that have to be disengaged. There is one currency, there is one passport, there are embassies. We cannot just say that you want to secede and you let me alone here. No, we have to sit on a table. And as I said earlier, the STC cannot claim that they represent the South. Yes, there are Southern voices that call for secession. They are calling for a different type of governance system. But this can be discussed, and we can talk about either 2 countries or 2 regions. Sorry, not 2 countries. I have to be very clear here, not 2 countries. 2 regions or 3 or 4. But secession is a totally different story. And the STC cannot claim that they are representing the whole South, and they cannot claim that the whole Southern population wants secession from the Republic of Yemen.
And what has the response been from the international community to what's been happening in Yemen over the last week or so?
Yes, I mean, so far that we have heard from from Germany, from some other countries, that they are still calling first of de-escalation, and they are calling for preserving the unity of the country and the sovereignty of the country. This is where the Arab League has issued their statement. The Organization of the Islamic Cooperation Nations, they have issued such a statement, and we don't want this. I mean, we don't want another war to happen in Yemen for a long time. We want to end wars. We have to start looking into peace. The United States has come with de-escalation, but the United States is so busy with the Houthis, and they are not really, and they think that this escalation in the eastern provinces divert the attention from going after the Houthis. But in general, most of the Arab countries, if not all, have issued statements supporting the internationally recognized government, the president of the PLC, and the unity of Yemen. So internationally, regionally, everybody is for de-escalation and for the unity of Yemen to remain until Yemenis decide otherwise.
And are you confident yourself that de-escalation will happen in the coming days?
Yes, it will happen either by negotiations or by force. I mean, it cannot, I mean, this war cannot go, I cannot call it a war, but this battle cannot go for a long time because it is so dangerous. It will be so dangerous for the whole region if it goes beyond a few days or a week or two maximum. Yes, it will create more problems. And so I'm confident we will have a de-escalation very soon, and I'm sure that the wisdom of the leaders of both UAE and Saudi Arabia can reach common ground to stop it.
Thank you so much for your time and for speaking to me today, Mustafa Noman. It was brilliant to have you on the show and your analysis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.